Okay, I think we're streaming live. Hopefully you're all out there. Welcome everybody to a special edition. Today we're going to watch the HFC event live. It's a very special day for us all here. Those of you used to the Cardano 360 shows, it's not going to be as slick as that. It's going to be a much more casual affair. Lots of colleagues here from IOG, so we are live. So if my internet gives up, then hopefully one of those guys will take over. We'll be heading over to Sam, our head of DevOps, to go through the actual HFC event at around 9:44 UTC, which is 10:44 here in the UK and whatever time it is with you there. I think we might also take a trip over to somewhere warm and sunny a little bit later. But before we kick off, first of all, let's meet some of the team who you'll be used to from the mid-month updates. We've got Nigel here, we've got Demetrius here, we've got Kevin here, and we've got Mel and Jide. So maybe let's just start off with you, Kevin. Kevin, we're about to see an HFC event. Perhaps you can remind us all exactly what we're about to see.
Yeah, Tim. So the HFC stands for the Hard Fork Combinator. And basically it's a bit of time-shifting magic that the clever people in the consensus team have put together. The distributed nodes, the decentralized nodes of the network basically have to agree which epoch, which era we're in. And they do this, some of them are ahead of the others, some of them behind the others. At the moment, all of them are in Mary. And as we progress from the current epoch 289 into epoch 290, what will happen is the nodes will gradually realize that I am in the Alonzo era. And what has to happen is all of the nodes have to agree, yeah, we've gone to Alonzo, and then we can start going forwards into the Alonzo era. We can start using Plutus scripts, and we can start to run all the exciting new smart contracts that people have been writing.
So indeed, exciting day to day, but the event itself hopefully will be a bit of an anticlimax, won't it?
Well, it's incredibly exciting to everyone on the technical team, Tim, because we've been working on this for the last 4 years or so, and it's been a huge amount of effort to get here. But in fact, the hard fork combinator is designed in such a way that you'll barely notice it. What will happen is we'll be ticking along in Mary and epoch 289. We enter epoch 290 Alonzo, and poof, there we are. We're into the new era.
So can we expect any turbulence, any bumps along the way?
Well, there might be a slight delay as we cross the epoch boundary. People have got used to that with recent epochs. We've done an awful lot of testing with Alonzo, and we're confident that we're not going to experience anything at all out of the unusual.
And of course, this is the beginning also of a longer series of iterations and improvements to the platform over the months ahead. Perhaps tell us a little bit about what comes next.
Yeah, we've got a lot of things that we've been working on in the background. We haven't put them into this release. We've been focusing on the Alonzo functionality, but we've got a number of improvements that we want to make to the performance, smoothing out the rewards calculations, which is going to reduce the lumpiness in a few places, improving synchronization times, making sure that you get a nice snappy experience as you start up your wallets, but also looking at some things that are going to be Plutus specific, so compressing the transaction and script sizes. This is going to have a very positive impact on things that people can run. And of course, we're looking to improve the system throughput as people start to use all the capacity that we've made available to them.
And actually, we've also got Neil Davis on the Zoom with us today. Neil, this is another special day today. You've just given us a rather nice data statistic. Perhaps you want to share that with people right now.
Yeah, well, this is the first epoch we've ever exceeded 500,000 transactions. So what's been happening over the last couple of, 2 months is that there's been about 10% growth in transactions every epoch. And now, we're sort of processing more transactions and more block data than we did in the first year every 5 days. So things are, ticking along nicely.
Fantastic. Okay, Nigel, over to you. Been another busy couple of weeks among lots of busy fortnights. How's it all been going?
It's just been incredible, Tim. I think it's really quite surprising that, we're here now. It just seems amazing that in like a couple of minutes, we're going to flick a switch and we're into this whole new world. Everyone's worked incredibly hard. We've got a large team that have been pulling out all the stops. And when we do switch over into this new smart contract era, it's going to be a new beginning. It's going to be the start of an amazing journey where the possibilities are just mind-boggling. I think we've talked about it before, Tim, in terms of the 360s, in terms of certain components. So what happens after this hard fork? Well, we've just released a version of the Plutus application backend. This is a critical component because it's the key library that all the decentralized applications use to be able to create their different apps. We're integrating that into the wallet backend, and our partners are integrating their dApps into that. There's a whole gamut of different things that people are doing. We're working with our partners to build use cases that other people can use and then extend. And they are really wide. So we've got DEXs, exchanges, swaps, NFT marketplaces, stable coins, quite a wide array of different kinds of dApps. And it's not just that. Some of these partners have decided they want to take things further forward and build a commercial enterprise onto Cardano. And outside of just the work that we're doing, we have other third parties that are bringing their businesses to Cardano. So it's an extremely exciting future.
Demetrius, over to you. You've also been responsible for plate spinning and moving a lot of parts around. How's it all been for you?
Well, indeed, it's been very, very busy recently, Tim. Someone might expect that after we've done the test that it will really be a piece of cake, but actually all the teams have really gone above and beyond into making this happen, and there has been tremendous commitment and enthusiasm to get it all, across the last bit towards the testnet. So a lot has been going on in the background, not only from the IoT side, but also from the CF team, exchanges, SPOs, third parties, partners, and so on. And we needed to make sure that all the components are ready and in place, and also communicated accordingly. And of course, making sure that all the parties are aligned and happy to proceed with the hard fork proposal submission.
But a lot of moving parts to manage and organize.
Indeed. Indeed, it is a complex activity, more of a puzzle that requires all the pieces to fit together and also work together. So several different components, various teams, various time zones. We had Node, Adrestia teams, wallets, our QA team, data analytics, just to mention a few.
The top 20 exchanges are successfully.
And requires a lot of coordination. There needs to be a process in place.
In addition to the close communication, we are live tracking them.
We seem to
mute the mic
from Jide.
We see some. Okay. So yeah, basically all the teams really work together very closely, and the coordination has proven to be successful. We followed the process in place, actually an involved process, to connect the dots before pushing the actual button and getting approval from all the different teams and parties involved, including our security team, our technical service desk, and making sure they're ready to support, and of course documenting and making documentation updates for new and existing features that are now introduced with smart contracts.
Let's go over to the CF team now. So Mel and Jide, you've also been working very, very hard behind the scenes in the exchange relationships, particularly. Jide, your responsibility has been talking to those exchanges regularly. How's all that been going?
Thanks, Tim. 17 of the top 20 exchanges have successfully upgraded your stack. We are working closely with other exchanges to ensure that your upgrade goes as smoothly as possible. In addition to the close communication, we are live tracking around 40 exchanges via their public APIs to know their status in real time.
And Mel, how's the upgrade been looking for you?
The upgrade has been looking great. The exchanges typically upgrade in advance, so they, obviously Kevin mentioned all the magic that the hard fork combinator does, so they can upgrade in advance, and then they'll have a smooth evening. At least we hope so, and it minimizes the downtime for exchanges.
And of course, it's always worth reminding ADA holders what they need to do or what they don't need to do. Nothing to worry about there?
Nothing to worry about. If there are any delays, it's maybe because your exchange didn't upgrade in time, but we're working with all the exchanges, making sure that they're back on track and they'll be online as soon as possible.
Thank you, gentlemen, very, very much. So look, I think we're probably about 4 or 5 minutes away from the epoch boundary, something like that. Quick check-in with Sam. Sam, are you ready? Are you getting Grafani ready to show us in a moment the rollover?
Yep, we're Yep, we're ready here. It's about 4 or 5 minutes out here, and I'll bring up the Grafana dashboard as we get closer to it.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you for that, Sam. So I think probably it's time now to take a little trip to somewhere a little warmer and a little bit sunnier. So Charles, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How about you guys?
We're doing great.
Yeah, there we
Doing
go.
great.
We're doing great. Doing
I
great.
hear we're allegedly doing something today. What do you think?
Well, we
It is-
like to keep you in the dark, Charles.
Yeah, it's something about a ghost busting or something. There was this thing like we're a ghost chain, and I was figuring it's about time we get rid of all those damn ghosts on the chain. It's if only we had some special equipment and uniforms or something we could wear and use that to take care of the situation.
So Charles, clearly in a very good mood. This is a pretty special moment, isn't it?
It is for everybody. You know, we've been working on this for over 4 years, and we brought a lot of living legends together like Kevin and Manuel and Phil. And, you know, the team has just been huge. It's well over, I think, 40 people have worked and participated on Plutus throughout the years. And we've learned a lot along the process. We had to build new counting model. We had to write new domain-specific languages. We had to think really carefully about how to preserve certain key principles like you know, determinism and predictability, you know, predictable resource consumption. And these were not easy tasks because you were always having this incredibly difficult trade-off between how expressive your system can be compared to how secure and deterministic the system can be. And what you're seeing today is the culmination of those 4 years of work. Now, there's a lot of work that has to be done to get us to a position where all the pieces pull together and, you know, the platform gets fully commercialized. But now that's as much in the hands of the community as it is us as system architects, because you can run smart contracts now. And we're probably going to be under the greatest load we've ever seen as a network in the history of the network. As Neil mentioned, over 500,000 transactions just the last 5 days. That was more than the entire cumulative set of transactions the first year the system was in. And that's going to become the standard, not the exception to the rule. So it's an extraordinary moment, and I'm very proud of each and every person here. I really am. From the bottom of my heart, it's been the most difficult thing of my career, and I think it's been the most difficult task of everyone's careers, and probably the most meaningful, because this time next year, there's going to be so much running on the system. There's going to be microfinance happening, insurance happening, you know, there's going to be all kinds of things that are going to transform the lives of millions to billions of people throughout the next few decades. So that's why we did it, and that's why we built it. It's also a triumph for science. We started from the very beginning saying we're going to follow first principles, and we're not going to give up. We're going to use the peer review method. We're going to actually write things down in a very careful way and go through a process where people validate that who don't work for us, who are independent of the organization. And a lot of people said, well, you can't do that because you'll be too slow. You know, you won't be able to build anything real, or it'll be an academic toy. Well, we proved them all wrong today. And tomorrow, the community is going to continue proving them wrong. It's going to be, we're going to get tired of winning. It's going to be great.
So Charles, we'll come back to you to hear more in a moment. Maybe Sam, how are we doing? It looks like we're fairly close there.
Yeah, we're a couple minutes away. I'll start the screen share.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, perhaps just come and say hello while you're here. Romain, CTO, this has obviously been a journey, massive journey for your team as well. Perhaps you can talk to us a little bit as we go over the epoch boundary about some of the things that have happened.
So, in fact, a colossal effort from everyone. I mean, I'm proud of the team, impressed by the community also, because launching Alonzo was also creating a community of developers, right? Because we didn't have any developers before, right? No language, no developers. Now that we have a language on the mainnet, we also have a community that is ready to launch their apps. So I'm very impressed by what I've seen exchange and discussed with the community. The feedback was really crucial for us to be at the required level of quality.
Sam, maybe just talk us through what we're seeing in front of us just before we do the rollover.
Yep, so this was likely the last block of this epoch. And the next block is going to be most likely in the next epoch, unless there's one really close here. We are expecting a little bit of a delay, as Kevin said. This is a known issue that the team has been working hard on getting resolved, but has been put on the back burner because of Alonzo, and will be coming up soon. There's basically three things we're looking at here that are important. We have our chain density graph here. We have our protocol version here, and we have our Cardano slot height here. Essentially, we want to see blocks continue to grow on the slot height, and any minute now we should see the next block come in here. And then we have the Cardano chain density graph. This is one we're going to be monitoring very closely for the next 5 days. We're not going to see anything likely today that's alarming on it, but this is where we watch and see in real time how many pools making blocks are on the new era versus ones that have dropped off and have dropped our chain density. And then the protocol version. This will delay probably about 5 minutes because it's a running average on my graph here. But I will give you a heads up here as soon as we get a block in.
So Sam, we've had a fairly good proportion of SPOs upgrade their nodes.
Yes, it was last I checked over 85%. So we're looking pretty good there, and it's probably even higher than that. Keep in mind that was running averages over epochs that I was looking at. So if people updated later in the epoch, that number is going to be skewed a little bit down. So yeah, we're pretty confident we got enough SPOs upgraded.
So when will we start to see something move? What should we be looking at? Something seems to be ramping up there on the right-hand side.
Yeah, ignore that. That's mathematical, interesting rounding errors, basically. But chain density there fluctuates. It's lately been around 100%, which is amazing, considering we've had times where we were at like 90, just below 90 in the past, where people didn't shut down their pools correctly, things of that nature. So we're very happy with how well people have been at responding with their pools. So what we're primarily looking for is a bump on this Cardano slot height right here, which is fairly flatlined right now, but like we said, this is something we kind of expect at the epoch boundary.
And when will we know the name of the pool which has made the first block of the new Alonzo era?
As soon as this thing bumps up, we can check on an Explorer and find out what that pool is.
Okay, fantastic. So yeah, I mean, we could sit here and watch this all day, but I'll tell you what, while we're waiting, let's just bring one more person in. Let's bring Shruti in. So Shruti, you are the head of product for smart contracts. This is obviously a very important moment in terms of the network, but particularly it's going to be an important moment for the developer community as well. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about what we're going to be seeing kind of from this moment on in terms of scripts and in terms of dApps.
Certainly, Tim, and indeed this is the beginning of a new era. We expect a lot of development to actually accelerate from now on moving forward. And as it is, we've already seen over 100 dApps in the process of being developed, or some of them are already being tested on testnet. So just so you know, like Marlowe is also one of the first Bluetooth dApps, and its architecture with the PAB serves as an exemplar. But so anyway, we've seen an incredible amount of activity, but to really build a flourishing ecosystem, we do need certain tools. We need developer tools, we need libraries, we need development and testing frameworks. And alongside that, we also need critical infrastructure. We need wallets, we need identity solutions. And of course, we do need economic identity solutions, such as one of them is Marlowe, of course, to build critical DeFi modules, any kind of peer-to-peer financial instruments. And that being said, what's important to both developers as well as end users is performance. So for that, we've got certain layer 2 scalability solutions like Hydra, which operate akin to state channels. All of this being said, we also need to be mindful of the fact that this is a decentralized effort. We need to build this foundation which is going to support a flourishing ecosystem of dApps. So I'm looking forward to all of the open source contributions from the developer community moving forward. So this is the moment, and after this hard fork, we'll be able to see quite a few of these dApps actually come onto mainnet, and I'm really excited to see the developments moving forward.
And of course, this the deployment of Plutus smart contracts wouldn't be possible without quite a significant team behind the whole effort. Now, Charles, I believe we just want to acknowledge a few of those people. Is that something we want to do now?
Well, absolutely. I got a huge list here. Let's see here. There's actually 58 names on it, and I'll just stick to first names. So just in order, Nema, Evanji, Moritz, Shruti, Jamie, Nicholas, Lars, Alexander, Manuel, James, Nicholas, Jared, Duncan, David, Vasilis, Simon, Colin, John, Chris, Roman, Andre, Dimitro, Pablo, Samuel, Luigi, hey, Shay, Hamish, Kenneth, Vanessa, Orestes, Josh, Amias, Jordan, Jan, Maki, Alexander, Chad, Ulf, Radu, Hernan, Michael, Demetris, Tobias, Tim, David, Martin, Simon, Rebecca Ballantyne, Noon, Dimitar, Polina, and I think she's here, Sojerd, Nemoja, Vukishin, Philip Wadler, the legendary, unsinkable Wadler, and Bruno, and of course Jacob. You know, it's been incredible to see that legacy there. Just the amount of brain power that's been thrown at what we're witnessing, and how remarkable it was to work with them throughout the years. I mean, a lot of these people became close friends, and we'd hang out at hackathons and places like the Plutus Fest. And I remember that, going there and delivering speeches in Edinburgh and traveling all throughout the world. And then the Plutus Pioneers program, you know, there's a big shout out and thank you to all those who participated. Over 3,000 students Lars had. It was probably the most difficult thing I think he's ever done in his educational career, because it was so hard for you know, to answer all the emails, the comments, the questions. But he stuck through it, 2 different cohorts. And it was remarkable to see those cohorts actually mature, grow, ask great questions. A lot of those questions ended up on the Cardano Stack Exchange. And then, of course, the development partners. You know, the development partners, they were tasked with, hey, go play and create and invent. I think that's probably the most fun you could ever have as a full-time developer, when you get a mandate to just go build some stuff and have some fun. And we said, hey, go play around with oracles and dexes and stable coins. And we learned an enormous amount from them. They caught a lot of bugs. They caught a lot of issues. And it's going to be great to see some of them continue on and actually commercialize the work that they've done. And then you have a lot of community applications like Meld and Sunday Swap, excuse me, the you know, Min protocol. And what was nice about them is that they just went out there and played around and had some fun with that. And that created such a wonderful collaborative atmosphere, and it made all of our developers just so excited to work with them and learn from them. And they had a lot of great advice about how we should handle documentation, a lot of advice of how we should handle tooling. All things considered, it was the experience of a lifetime over these last 90 days, 120 days in particular, but over the last 4 years. You know, we had to make a lot of choices. Do we take something like the EVM? You know, we worked with University of Illinois or Urbana-Champaign. You know, it was Grigory Roshu's team. And they started with the KEVM. We got those semantics out in 2017. And then they built a completely new version of it called Yella, which was actually EVM done right. And then there was a lot of internal debates. You know, is that approach going to be the one that we use for the settlement layer of Cardano, or do we want to go in a more principled setup? And I was like, wow, that's a hard decision. And so what you don't see are the hundreds, if not thousands, of meetings and debates and emails and Slack messages that went into the decisions that are being deployed today about how we order things, how we think about things. You know, the certification ecosystem was another component of that. How do we ensure that the software that people write is correct and actually works and is semantically right? That's a big deal. And there were so many moving pieces to that. And again, thousands of conversations, dozens of different opinions, tons of different tools from Super Haskell like Agda to Isabel to Kak. There's a question, do we build our own tools? Do we repurpose existing tools? And you just don't see all of that. And the 58 people that I named were really heroes and rock stars because they put in so much time, especially over the last 120 days. I don't think people had weekends. They missed birthdays and events. They missed their family. They're married. Their wives are pretty angry at them right now. Certainly their girlfriends are, and boyfriends and husbands. It was not an easy time, but this is a great moment, and it's a great beginning. And that beginning is going to be built on top of. When we look to the future, there's a lot more to do. There's going to be some cleanup after this hard fork. There always is. We did the same with Shelley last year. Shelley came out, and then a little bit later in the year, we had a cleanup hard fork that basically was just the stuff we couldn't quite get into that launch. This will be no different. Probably we'll split that into 2 HFC events, tentatively one in October and then one tentatively towards the end of the year or early next year, depending upon whether we make the holiday break or not. And then going beyond that, there's a lot of open questions about, okay, how quickly do we want to start pursuing the Basho era, and how quickly do we want to start pursuing the Volterra era? Well, we already have very rigorous skunk works that exist that are, pushing very hard and very diligently at Basho and at Voltaire. There's probably more than 30, 40 people on each of those internally and externally who have been chipping away and building and hammering Voltaire and Basho. So at the summit, we should have a lot to show you guys about governance. And at the summit, we should have a lot to show you guys about scalability through Hydra, and also that whole ecosystem, Hydra plus Mithril, plus the concept of outsourceable computation. And again, just like the development of Plutus and just like the development of the extended UTXO model, it turns out there's dozens of good ways to do this. And what's really fun about a Cardano is that we built it with maximal interoperability and flexibility in mind. So we have principles at the base layer, but it's going to be relatively straightforward to kind of put these pieces together in just the right sense in order to ensure interoperability. Kevin, is there anyone, or Romana or Flor, that you guys want to thank in particular? Because you worked so closely with the engineers in the last 90 to 120 days, and I want to make sure we don't miss anyone.
Charles, I didn't want to interrupt you, but we are in Alonzo era. There is a consensus of our nodes that all of them have come together, and the epoch is now in 290. Congratulations, everyone. We made it.
I talk right through a whole era. People say I talk too much.
Definitely time for a costume change as well. Congratulations, everybody. And congratulations also to the whole community. We really, really wouldn't be here all the way through from the Shelley ITN to get to this moment. Every community member who's been part of our thriving NFT ecosystem already, this really has been a joint effort. So thank you to all of you as well. Maybe we'll have a whiskey in a moment, but Romain, just before we do, as CTO, what does the future of smart contracts look like for Cardano? Why is this a special moment for you?
It's a special moment because it's the beginning, right? We just launched the first version of the language, and it's just opening the era. It's not the end. We'll release many new features in the coming months, and we'll listen carefully to all feedback to improve our language. It's something amazing that Manuel, Michael, and Jan, etc. did with building that language and those tools on top of the UTXO model, right? Which is very different to the account model. And I think we have something powerful that will be very, very complementary to what exists today, and we'll be able to offer properties that other systems won't, because we are benefiting from this UTXO model. So determinism, parallelism, predictability of cost and execution. This is important for the next social or governance or financial systems.
So Danelle, Chief Product Officer, we've spoken about the network improvements, we've spoken about the developer experience, we've spoken about the longer-term roadmap. But from a user perspective, this is the age of dApps that is now upon us. What can we expect to see in terms of user experience as the ecosystem now starts to really grow?
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, so in terms of UX, dApp developers will be looking for marketplaces to publish dApps. So we're working very hard on a dApp store that innovates in terms of app discovery. We'll also be rolling out a three-tier certification program that will help developers demonstrate a certain level of assurance to their users. And you can all look forward to a demo of that at the summit. Over the coming months, we'll also provide additional tools that drive user engagement and monetization. We'll also be providing tools that enable users to interact with dApps. We'll also be giving a sneak peek preview of our new Light Wallet at the summit. The team will also be working very hard at optimizing smart contracts for computation and cost, and that's leveraging Hydra.
And obviously a lot more of that, as you say, to be shared at the summit. Neve, you've been really helping to drive the documentation side for Cardano. Again, really critical part of ecosystem growth is to improve and build on that. Perhaps you can just give us an update on what we'll be doing there.
Thanks, Tim. So we've been very busy, both the documentation team and the education team, over the past couple of weeks and months, preparing for this special and exciting day. We've written a lot of new topics, first for our testnet users, and now obviously they're going on mainnet, so they'll be on Cardano docs. So we've a range of materials from primers, explainers, use case outlines, getting started info, and then some deep dive and how-to tutorials. And then, of course, we had the recent refresh of Cardano docs a few months ago, so that was pivotal to have that done and in place for Alonzo and have that foundation ready for all this new content that's coming on board. And then for the next couple of weeks, we'll be staying close to our community, hearing what they've got to say, if they've any feedback. There may be gaps that we need to fill. We'll also be building out new content for reference information and any kind of supporting content for things like the dApp store, like Tanel mentioned, and various deployments that we'll see coming on stream. We also have some foundational blog posts that are ready to go. And I'll also be working with the Essential Cardano repo just to keep that up to date.
So the Essential Cardano repo, of course, for those of you who haven't checked it out yet, we're mapping the ecosystem via a crowdsourced repo on GitHub. So as we start to see more projects come online and more projects go into development, if you're building on Cardano, make sure you put a pull request in. We want to map this whole ecosystem as it goes and as it grows. I think it's maybe time for a small glass of whiskey. Charles, perhaps back over to you. And I think maybe we have to ask the question, how is the lobster feeling?
Well, you know, this lobster is pretty sad because he's been going through the desert and he has no name. And I was thinking, you know, it would be really cool if we had some sort of large distributed computer that could run some sort of program that large amounts of people who are passionate and excited about could participate in to name said lobster. What do you think, Nameless Lobster? Oh, Nameless Lobster. Ah. There we go. So if there's some brilliant programmer who's like an expert in Plutus and he spent months of time teaching people to like produce Plutus code that could somehow name the lobster, could such a person step forward for me? Maybe Lars. I don't know. What do you think, Lars?
I think it's a great idea. And of course, it's not completely trivial because one of the great things about Plutus is that everything is deterministic, so no nasty surprises, failing transactions that you have to pay for. So to get this randomness, to pick a nice random name for the lobster, we really need the help of the community. So I came up with a Plutus contract where we gather 500 votes, random numbers from the community. And once these 500 votes are in, the name for the lobster will pop out. And I just deployed this contract, so it's running. I already tried it. I cast my own vote, so ready to go.
So you're telling me this lobster is one of the first smart contracts to run on Cardano?
Yes, I mean, I tried to do it as quickly as possible. I'm not sure whether I'm the first, but certainly one of the first, yes.
There you go. There you have it. And if people want to participate in the Great Lobster Naming Competition, how do they do so?
I created a little GitHub repo where everything is explained. So you can see the code, and there are also scripts that you can use to create suitable transactions to participate. So the idea is the current state sits somewhere, and then you create a transaction that updates that. And after 500 people have done it, there's a final transaction by us, and then the name is fixed. And everything is explained in this repo. And I'll also tomorrow record a video where I go through this voting process so that it's as easy as possible.
There you go. All right, you have it, guys. So in short order, Cardano is going to name the Cardano lobster. And then after that, we have to create a whole cool backstory. He'll go through like a weird phase in the 80s with drug abuse and all kinds of things. It's going to be cool. I guarantee we're going to pull it all together. He's going to become the hero mascot of Cardano. And
So,
speaking of drug abuse, God damn, this Gordon McFall whiskey is good. Roman, you didn't tell me it was going to be that good. 38 years old, 1983. How about that?
I don't know. I never tasted it.
You just gave me the bottle. It just like rolled the dice. But excellent.
I think it's time we probably all enjoyed a glass of whiskey. If you fancy doing the lobster challenge, we'll drop the link into the YouTube show notes for you. I suggest you have a go at it before you drink too many whiskeys. I think we're going to enjoy a few as a team now. Look, thank you very, very much for joining us today. Remember the Cardano Summit on the 25th and the 26th of September. Lots more stories to tell, lots more news to share, and lots more on the future of Cardano. But thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us here together so far, and here's to a bright future. Charles, do you want to close us out just with a couple of final thoughts?
Yeah, just very concisely and briefly, this is just a beginning, never an end. It's an endless journey. It's an endless river. And it's defined as much by the friends that come with you than what you intend on doing and where you intend on going. There's been a lot of unanticipated things on this journey, and there will be many more in the future. But they've all been worthwhile. And all those diversions and events, they've made us stronger, better, and they've really given us a lot of love. So I want to thank the entire community for the wonderful participation and collaboration and work that they've put in. And I truly do enjoy seeing how things have come along and evolved. It's exceeded my wildest goals and expectations. And what's so cool is even a stuffed lobster can now have life breathed into it because of you, the community. And if that's the power we have here today, imagine what kind of power this community is going to have in 5 years or 10 years as we set our sights on changing the systems of the world. So until next time, see you guys at the next Hard Fork Combinator event.
Thank you very much, everybody. See you at the summit.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.